Elmira College Alumni Zoom call with President Lindsay. I'm Ellen Himmelreich. I'm Director of Alumni Relations, and we're so pleased that you're able to join us all this evening. We had a great response to this event, and I hope to do more in the future. With the restrictions that we have on in-person events, these virtual events allow us to connect with many of the alumni across the country at the same time. So thank you so much for joining us. We had almost 90 callers join us this evening, so it was a great turnout. A few housekeeping notes I just want to remind you of. We suggest that you use the speaker mode for the session. The screen option should be in your upper right-hand corner of your screen once you're logged in. Video and microphone for each caller will be turned off during this call. Keeping these turned off during the session will help with the quality of the call. And just remember, this session is being recorded. So I want to thank you for submitting questions prior to tonight's event. If you'd like to submit questions during the call, feel free to do so in the chat function. Also a reminder that I'll be sending you an email tomorrow, a follow-up email about tonight's event, and just requesting your feedback and comments, and want to let you know, that we appreciate you being part of this call, and we want to hear from you if you have any suggestions. Now it's my pleasure to introduce President Lindsay, who will start our session with updates. And I believe he'll be addressing many of the questions that have already previously been submitted. So thank you so much, and President Lindsay.
Thanks, Ellen. It's great to join everyone this evening. I think that some people haven't seen each other in a while. I noticed people waiting and they were pointing at each other on the screen. So hopefully I can draw your attention for a few minutes, and then you can have some fun with each other and alum as alum. These kinds of alumni gatherings are the type of thing that I do in the fall, and I definitely miss the chance to visit with folks in New York City, Rochester, and then sometimes go further afield, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. in person. But I'm really thrilled to have the chance to spend a few minutes with you here tonight to give you some idea about what's going on at Elmira College and some of the plans we have for the future. COVID-19 has really had a serious impact on the entire country, world, and I know it's had an impact on your lives as well. It has certainly had an impact on campus here at Elmira. One of the first things we did was we had to close the campus down in mid-March because of the governor's order, and we concluded the academic year online. And that was a major transition for students and faculty, but I was very pleased with how smoothly things went. The sad thing was we weren't able to do an in-person graduation, and as some of you know, we weren't able to do reunion in June. And but we made the commitment to reopen this fall, and we did, and we've been holding in-person classes for the last 5 weeks. There's been some development along those lines, though, in the last few days. You may be aware that Chemung County and the surrounding region has had an uptick in the number of coronavirus cases, and that's also true on campus. And so we have a growing number of cases, and as a result, we went to 100% online teaching as of this past Monday. We didn't reach any threshold. We hadn't reached the maximum number where you're required to do that, but we wanted to be proactive and take that positive step towards trying to control things. As a matter of fact, we're also going to be doing some on-campus testing tomorrow of all students and all the staff and faculty that are on campus as well. And that'll give us a good handle on what's going on. So I just wanted to share, I saw that there was a question submitted where people were asking, how would you react if COVID starts to show up on campus? Well, it's showing up on campus and we're reacting right now. But in addition to COVID, there's a number of things going on with the economy, with higher education, You may have seen some articles that were published in major newspapers and magazines where they're saying that a number of folks are really questioning the value of higher education, and are they willing to still pay the price for higher education, and that the demographics in the middle Atlantic states aren't going in a positive direction. Well, we were seeing the impact of a number of those things, and starting about 1 year ago, I've been working pretty intensely with some dedicated members of the Board of Trustees and my team on campus and the faculty to talk about how can Elmira College better meet the needs in the future and make itself more financially sound. And so there's been a lot of work and thinking that's gone into a 5-year plan that we're going to be unveiling over the next several weeks. You'll be hearing more about it. One of the first things, though, we did, and you may have heard or read about, was we did eliminate some academic programs in June. There were 6 academic majors that were eliminated. And that doesn't mean that there are no courses in those subjects, but there were so few majors that it really didn't make sense to continue to offer them. So what we did was take a good hard look at the college's mission and determined how we might reallocate resources to better serve the needs of our students. And so following on the heels of those reductions that were in June, we've been developing a plan that goes back really to the roots of what Elmira College is all about. And we have strengths in the liberal arts, in professional programs, and in hands-on learning. And I think the power and the strength of an Elmira College education has to do with the integration of all 3 of those. So we're looking at developing new academic programs that have that strong foundation in the liberal arts, that also offer all students professional skills, and then give them an opportunity for hands-on practical learning, such as through what's offered in our internship program and community service program. And so there are several programs that have already made it through the pipeline. We've revised our finance major, which now offers students a certified financial accounting certificate and a certified financial planning certificate, which gives it that professional polish that I'm talking about. There's also a program which we're going to be announcing in the next couple of weeks that a Dr. Meg Laumann, who is originally from Elmira, New York, is going to be joining the faculty and leading our environmental studies program. Dr. Meg Laumann is really the world expert on tree canopies and sustainability. And she's going to be offering, I think, what's going to be a very exciting opportunity to students, which, as I said, we'll begin promoting in just a couple of months. We noticed, I'll say more about the programs and how we're going to market them in a few minutes, but we did notice that over the last several years, the enrollment at the college has slid. Some people were asking, well, what is the enrollment rate now? So the statistics, which I have right here at my fingertips, are that we have a total of 768 students on campus, and our 5-year plan calls for growing that number to 1,100. We admitted 202 new students this fall. And the good news is that while that might be lower than it has been in recent years, it's about 43 students higher than what we were planning for. We knew there'd be fewer students enrolling because, frankly, in the mid-Atlantic states, students got nervous about going away to college. And across the board, it looks like there's been about a 10% decline in the number of students choosing to attend an away college. So we factored that into our budget and planning, and thankfully, so far we exceeded that number. But we're not satisfied with the number of students on campus right now. And we've hired a consulting firm called Ruffalo Noel Levitz, who are experts in financial aid and enrollment management planning. And they have given us some very sound advice about how to leverage our scholarship aid dollars. For several years, it looks like the college was not giving out or awarding scholarship aid in a way that had a maximum impact on students. And they have allowed us to analyze the data and begin to award the dollars in a way that will maximize the number of students attending the college, choosing to attend the college. So I think that's an exciting development, is going to help us in building the enrollment, in addition to the new programs that I'm referring to. Now, people have to find out about new programs, and we have a public relations and rebranding effort that's underway, and that will be what's rolled out over the coming weeks and months. The PR effort will be largely aimed at local audiences, regional audiences in New York, to make everyone aware of what's happening at Elmira College and what we have planned for the future and how it serves students. You all who are not living in the local area may begin to see things that are going to be part of our rebranding, and I would really call it refreshing our brand program. The Elmira College brand, I think, is a very solid one. People have a very strong sense of the tradition of the institution and all of the things in its history. And when they describe it, they talk about how powerful the campus experience is, how they had meaningful opportunities when they were on campus, and that how much fun they had with their fellow students and with the traditions of the school. People also mention the close student-faculty relationships and that they really feel mentored by staff and students. And that's all good stuff, but I believe that we need to go a step further, and we really need to focus on what are the stories that students and alumni and, frankly, faculty and staff have about their particular experience at Elmira College. And so the branding effort focuses on the concept of your Elmira College. What is the story that illustrates how Elmira College is yours? So there's an ownership piece there, and we're going to be looking for stories that illustrate how Elmira College contributed to the personal, social, emotional, and intellectual growth of its students. There's also a number of technical things that are going to happen with this branding effort. We will be moving away from what has been called on campus Burple. And you may be aware that if you looked at the website and things, the purple got a little bluish, and we're moving back to the traditional colors of Elmira College. So no more Burple. We're going to be using the traditional purple and gold. And that's to create a consistent image that resonates with the tradition and heritage of the college. So there's been a style guide that's been developed that is going to help us do that. You will begin to see the results of that on the college's website and in social media and on other platforms that are going to be shared in a number of different ways in the coming weeks and months. And I also think we have a reputation to build on, which is very strong. Some of you may have seen articles recently. All of the college rankings come out in the fall, and I think we did very well. Money Magazine reported that we fall in the top 25% of colleges in the country that provide the most value added to students. And I think that's what makes the real difference. Value added, how much do students change and grow while they're at the college? That's truly what it's all about. There was another, maybe the most well-known ranking by US News and World Report. We were ranked 6th among best regional colleges in the North, and we were also ranked 6th for undergraduate teaching, 3rd for the best value, and 2nd for social mobility among regional colleges in the North. I think that's something that you all as alum can be very proud of. And so I've hit a number of different points. I've tried to share some specifics and answer some questions that might be on your mind, but I know there's going to be some others. And so thanks for listening to my monologue. And I'm now going to be open to questions. And I'll try to behave myself better than some of the candidates for President of the United States did last night.
Well, thank you, Chuck. Just wanted to review some of the questions that had been previously submitted. I think you covered, quite a bit of the information itself. A reminder that if you do have questions, you can submit those through the chat, and we will get to as many as we can. I know that a lot of the alums had been concerned about how can the alumni help EC? What ways can they step up and help? So that, could you kind of address that?
Sure. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I had some individual conversations about that a couple of weeks ago. Happy to respond. I think there's several ways that you can think about helping Elmira College, particularly right now. The first is make a donation. While we're moving towards financial sustainability, we're not out of the woods. And there are financial challenges, as I said, to higher education in general and to Elmira College in particular. And while we have a plan to grow and work our way out of this, alumni donations really do matter. So answer number one is make it a donation. The second, I think, is hire an EC graduate. We've got, as you know, a number of talented people. If you have an opening in your organization or business, please consider contacting our career services office and maybe hiring an EC grad. Third way is that I would say becoming an active alum, which could take the form of joining the alumni board. The alumni board really takes the leadership on things for alum, and I think they do a fantastic job. They're a very spirited group, and I think give alum a very strong sense of belonging and contributing back to the institution. And the last way I think you could really help is whenever you get the chance, share the information you have about Elmira College. And as I was saying before, share your story about Elmira College to get the name out there.
Great, thank you. Well, we have a few more coming in also. Would you touch on and give a little bit of an update on Leecom?
Oh, sure. So Leecom is the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, and we signed a partnership with them a couple of years ago, and they this summer completed a 50,000 square foot building on our campus, and they started with their first class of medical school students in July. There are 129 students attending Leecom at this Elmira location. The exciting thing about the partnership is, in addition to their students using our facilities and integrating with our campus, we also have guaranteed slots in their osteopathic program and then in their dental, pharmacy program and in their dental program. That really gives our students a leg up if they're interested in going to medical school. And that takes the form of guaranteed admission to Leecom if the student is a graduate of Elmira College and earns an appropriate grade point average and takes the requisite courses. If they do that, they can earn one of those slots to go to medical school. And the exciting thing for people who think pre-med is you don't have to take the MCATs. So the test that makes students sweat and lose sleep for weeks and weeks. If you get the grades at Elmira College, you're automatically admitted to Leecom. So exciting program. We're glad that they're up and running, and they're now our partners.
Great. Well, we have more questions coming in. So one is, with the elimination of the international studies major, how do you plan to incorporate a global perspective through the college curriculum?
The honest answer is that the faculty is talking about that right now. There are still courses in the curriculum that focus on international subject areas, but we no longer offer the major in that subject. So if one were to look at the economics program, political science, and some others, students can encounter that global perspective. But I'll be frank, that is something that we want to build on for the future. I think it's absolutely critical that we give students that global perspective, and to be honest, it's in our mission. So we still have some classes, not a major, but we want to build on what we have.
Great. We just had a comment also. I want to let you know that the comment was from an alum that is glad to hear that we've partnered with RNL. They feel that RNL will be a key to meeting our enrollment goals. Next question is, how are the students adjusting to the new rules and lifestyles in the COVID world?
Oh, well, I would say it's interesting. The students really wanted to come back to campus badly. I think they were tired of their families and parents. So there was a lot of excitement among new students and our returning students to be on campus. And that was really palpable. We do have some pretty strict guidelines on campus to try to maintain control over the spread of the coronavirus. So for example, if you are in one residence hall, you are not allowed to visit in any of the other residence halls. And I don't know how well you know 18, 19, or 20-year-olds, but let's just say that not everyone has conformed to all the rules we have. So there's been a little bit of back and forth. Student life has been working very hard to create incentives for students to maintain the rules on campus, as well as carrots as well as sticks. And we'll see how it goes. As I said, we've had an uptick in the number of positive cases on campus recently, and I think that has been a wake-up call for a number of students. They realize, oh, I guess we really do have to follow these rules. Now, I know all that I just said was kind of a downer. We have had the opportunity to still, as best we can, pursue the traditions of Elmira College. And so we did have Mountain Day. We couldn't have 300 students in front of the president's home chanting and singing. That would have been violating the governor's restrictions and our guidelines. But we did have a buildup, and Mrs. Lindsay and I did assess the level of spirit on campus by visiting the residence halls and by interacting with students. And we actually gave out some t-shirts for a couple of days ahead of time. And so we still honored Mountain Day. Also, with the new students, we did still hold candlelight, and we are still planning to do other things, such as have a Founders Day celebration later in the year. So we're doing what we can given the limitations.
Okay. Another question that has come in is, how is recruitment going for the class starting in fall of 2021? And can alumni help with recruitment efforts?
Well, first, I think alum can definitely help with recruitment efforts. alumni tend to come in towards the end of the process. You may know that we deal with thousands and thousands of inquiries and then applications. And as things narrow down and we build a relationship with a student, that's when alum can come into the picture and make a difference, particularly if there's someone from your area and they get a phone call and they hear how excited you were about your education at Elmira. That can make the difference. So I would say that's a stay tuned for a little bit later in the process. The travel schedules are a little bit different, and travel with admissions counselors is quite different these days. There are no college fairs, and so it's all about your online presence. And we were able to establish a pretty robust online presence, a platform that attracts students' attention and that our counselors can use to reach out and establish a relationship with the students. So far, so good. We're still very early in the process. We start paying attention to numbers starting next month, which I guess by my watch starts tomorrow.
Okay, kind of dovetailing on what you just were saying about prospective students. An alum is asking, are we considering alumni to engage and interview prospective students if they live outside New York State? And if yes, how does alumni get involved with interviewing the students? I know you touched on that, and I would invite anybody that is interested in pursuing that. They can reach out to the Office of Alumni Relations, and we can put them in touch with admissions and kind of look at where they are and what the need is in their area. And as you said before, one of the main things that our alums can do to help promote enrollment is talk up EC and tell everybody how wonderful of a time they had there, their education, and that feel-good stories. So that's also a way to help.
And people mentioned, or that question mentioned, being in New York or outside New York. We certainly are looking for students from all over. So I would encourage anyone, no matter how far afield you are, to talk to people in your local area about what Elmira College has to offer. We've always had a strong group of students coming from New England. We still want to continue that, and we want to continue our outreach efforts in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and really all across the country. Primarily because of our sports programs, we have students from about 35 different states.
Alum is asking also, will we be able to add health administrative courses?
Oh, well, that's great. Yes. One of the ways that we are branding the institution, this foundation in the liberal arts professional programs, is working its way through the pipeline right now, is a health administration major. We have never offered that before, but given the strength of our nursing program, our affiliation with Leecom, we think it's a natural that we offer that major. And so that's one of the things that we're looking for approval from the New York State Education Department, and it would be brought online here by fall of 21.
Okay, and keeping somewhat with the health sciences, in that study, is there an opportunity to focus on the specific challenges to working with elders? The COVID experience has shed light on a great need and an opportunity for meaningful and gainful employment.
I would certainly agree with that perspective, and I have not given a careful look at the curriculum in the last several weeks, but I think that's an important sentiment, and I would certainly pass it on to the folks who are developing the program in our business and economics division.
Okay. Changing topics just a bit, were there any athletic programs that were eliminated?
Yes, we did eliminate our cross-country programs and women's golf. And that was really because the enrollment was extremely low in those programs. We're also assessing the rest of the athletic programs on campus to ensure that they really provide the kind of program that students are looking for. You may have heard that we are planning to introduce men's and women's wrestling. And we have hired 2 wrestling coaches who are recruiting students right now. And we expect to bring that program online in the fall. But all athletic programs will now be looked at a little more from a cost basis to make sure that the rosters are sufficient to really to justify the program. And I think that's a reality that many small private colleges are dealing with right now.
Okay. Next question, is the college looking at partnering with other institutions of higher education, for instance, community colleges?
We do have what are called articulation agreements with several local community colleges, Corning Community College, Broome Community College, Tioga County Community College, but it's an area where we think we should expand, particularly when we get these professionally related programs and majors. We want to make sure that we have a seamless transition from those community colleges. We hired a year ago a new dean of admissions who has, her name is Jackie Van Brunt, and she has an extensive background in at community colleges and a lot of contacts, and we're leveraging those in order to kind of build the partnerships that are being referred to. So that's an area that we're developing.
Okay. Has any consideration been given to expanding the master's programs the college offers, perhaps an MBA, or allowing master's courses to be taken online in an effort to engage with non-local students?
There's a conversation going on right now about what to do with the master's programs. As you know, we still have an education master's and a master's in management. The interesting thing is with MBA programs right now, they are they overexpanded, and it would probably not be a wise thing right now to establish an MBA program simply because there's too many of them right now, and students have made the decision that it's not worth the investment. But we are looking at a number of certificate programs and having more of an online presence. And the positive thing is, since we now have about 6 months of experience doing online education, we think we're going to be pretty well equipped to make that transition. Whereas beforehand, I think it would have been more of a challenge for the faculty. When we start to go more into online education on a regular basis, the accrediting agencies have standards for us to meet, and we've already looked at those, and it looks like it'll be fairly easy for us to check the boxes in order to go online. I should mention that one of the key programs that's not at the graduate level, but one of the programs that's working its way through the pipeline is a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So we have our on-campus nursing experience. We're looking at putting that online. That's one of the things that's going to be proposed by the faculty in the next couple of months. I think that has a real opportunity. There should be a strong demand too, because the governor announced 3 years ago that all nurses in the state will be required to have at least a bachelor's degree. And so I think he called it the BSN in 10. Everyone would have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So it creates a strong demand, and we plan to take advantage of that.
Okay. An alum is asking, given the recent events across the country, is EC doing anything specific regarding the enrollment of a more diverse student population, or working to help more disadvantaged students who tend to be minorities to attend EC?
The Student Life Department is talking about a program of what I'll refer to as inclusivity, and making our student body more sensitive to the needs of minorities, understanding the plight of minorities. And so there are some programs that are planned. Now they have to be virtual and online, but there are programs that are planned for the coming year. We also have a very robust Black Student Union that has a real strong presence on campus. And I don't want to be quoted on the percent of students who are minority, but it tends to be between 10 and 15%. And that is still, a long way from where we want it to be, but it is above the average for small private colleges in New York. So one of the ways that you can really develop understanding and inclusivity is by not just recruiting students of color, but recruiting faculty members and administrators from minority groups. And the honest truth is right there. We are very challenged in that area to get people to come to the region, but it is something that we hope to do.
Okay, great. One of our alums is curious about the current number of employees at the college. And maybe if you could touch on the ratio, faculty to staff ratio.
Oh, this is going to be off the top of my head, but I believe the entire head count, all employees, so this would be faculty, staff, and administration, is about 180. Now, the ratio of staff to faculty, I'm not sure. There are about 50 plus full-time faculty members. So maybe roughly we're talking about a 2-to-1 ratio of staff to faculty, but I could check on that. I didn't come prepared for that.
Questions are getting tougher.
Questions are getting tougher. That's right. I maybe will say that with the cuts that were made back in June, we really are very lean in several different areas. We made judicious cuts, but it has made it a challenge in a number of different departments. And we're looking at doing some planning for workflow analysis and that sort of thing so that we utilize our folks in the most efficient and effective way. So that's something that's underway right now.
Okay. An alum is curious, are there any plans to bring back Encore?
Yes. With the help of a particularly intelligent and hardworking member of the Board of Trustees, we've been able to identify some funds that can help us in staging some Encore type events. And we want to reintroduce that because it was really part of the cultural backbone of the institution. And back when the decision was made 5 or so years ago to eliminate Encore, once you eliminate the fee, there were no funds for Encore. And so it didn't make sense to try to stage something with no money. Now that we have some funds, we're going to start to build back towards having a more robust program, which we would like to call Encore. Also, it would be an opportunity if somebody really is passionate about that sort of thing, about bringing cultural events to campus. We certainly would accept a donation earmarked towards that.
Okay. Also, are there plans to expand online offerings of the college bookstore for non-local alums to purchase, like branded gear?
Yes, there is. Yeah, we're looking at having a much more robust online presence for the bookstore. And what we found out recently is we had a specially designed t-shirt for Mountain Day. And I think there were some pictures that were online. And we heard, I think, from about 20 or 25 alum that they wanted one of those t-shirts. So that, and in combination of, we had some branded masks that people also saw. And so I believe those are available online now through the bookstore. Mm-hmm. But we have to have a much more user-friendly experience, and we're working to do that. We just hired a new CFO, Chief Financial Officer, a Vice President for Finance and Administration. His name is Ed Ashley. He's from California, so he's been at work almost 3 weeks. he's got a lot of great ideas, and one of the areas he's responsible for is the bookstore. So I've got that on his to-do list.
Okay. Will EC continue to require volunteering in internships to graduate?
Absolutely. Now, we've had to postpone or suspend some of the requirements right now simply because of coronavirus and restrictions on students spending time in the community. But I think those are fundamental components of an Elmira College education and experience. And it's one of the ways that we reach out to the community with our community service program. When you add up the number of hours that are donated, and I would say the relationships that are developed with people from the community, it's a fantastic experience. And internships, that's part of the hands-on experience / professional experience that I was talking about before. Every program, every major at the college has a required internship experience, and we want to continue doing that.
Okay, great. Well, we've pretty much wrapped up. Most of the questions have been submitted. If anybody has anything else, it's your opportunity to put it into the chat. I think that, let's see. Somebody mentioned love being able to watch the President's Welcome on Facebook Live. Are there plans to live stream more things that in the future?
Yes, I think we're going to have to adapt to this new reality and new platform. And I'm the kind of person that benefits from hearing an audience. And so I've had to change quite a bit. It's a funny experience when you're making a presentation and it's online and you can't even really have any interaction with your audience. But I think I'm getting better, and we certainly want to have more activities, share the campus experience more with alum and others. That's the secret to really, I think, engaging all our audiences, you as alum and potential students and parents. So yes, you may in fact see more of me.
Okay, are there any plans for continuing to build out the connection to Mark Twain and Quarry Farm?
Yes. Now, we've actually produced a strategic plan related to Quarry Farm. You may know that Quarry Farm is primarily geared towards scholars and researchers who come and do research on Mark Twain and then make a presentation. Well, we have created, if you go online right now, we have a more robust presence for Quarry Farm and Mark Twain, and we're putting more and more resources online to create more of an online community. One of the things that we just got the rights to a couple of weeks ago is a manuscript, a 4-volume tome called Mark Twain Day by Day. And it's a chronicle of every day of Mark Twain's life. And so that has been transcribed and will just be available online as a resource to everyone. And so that's just an illustration of one of the ways that we're making Quarry Farm more accessible. They're also having a symposium this weekend, and I believe that symposium, which is about humor, is available to folks online.
Great. Would you give an update on the library and research facilities?
Well, right now the library is closed, and we still have a number of, it's interesting. We're finding that the circulation of actual books has gone down. This generation of undergraduates don't seem to really resonate with books. It's all about online periodicals and manuscripts. And this is an area that information literacy is pretty critical. And given the cuts we had to make, I think we cut back in a way that we're going to have to put some things back in place. So the direct answer on that is we have the resources that students need to pursue their educational programs. but I think that we need to have something richer available to the students. So stay tuned on that one.
Okay. Next question, are faculty going to be involved in student recruitment?
Faculty are very involved in student recruitment right now, and they're really our secret weapon. They reach out to students through Instagram and a number of different platforms online. They meet with students when they're on campus, at least from a socially distanced perspective these days. So I would say that our faculty are really engaged in the recruitment process and are most effective at showing students what the real personality is on campus. So no, I'm really happy, and we want to continue having faculty involved.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to wrap things up. So here's the final question. This could have come from any of our alums. Just as a fun question from my purple and gold heart. What is your favorite EC tradition, either old or new, besides the chucks behind you?
Yeah, well, I should maybe say to people, so I've got these purple chucks, and I wear those on campus and to all athletic events to make a statement. And yeah, they do tend to make a statement. So they're ready to go at a moment's notice. I would say my favorite tradition is really candlelight. At the end of the year, the night before commencement, the night before graduation, because it's so fascinating to see the transformation that happens with students. When they're there as freshmen, it's, oh yeah, we're doing this ceremony, big deal, I want to act cool. And, you know, but when they come back as seniors, it's something that you can tell it really matters, and they reflect back on the college experience and realize this is going to be over, and this is something that I get to share with everyone here. And so, and I think the symbolism of candlelight is great, with everyone bringing their one candle, their one light of understanding and intellect. And when you put all that light together, you've got a fantastic undergraduate experience. So that's why candlelight's number one on my list.
Okay, great. I think I'm getting what might be one.
You said that was the last question.
I know it. I know it. Well, okay. Well, I thank you. And I believe that you've answered pretty much most of all the questions that we have had submitted. And as I said, please know that I will be sending out an email tomorrow. Questions, just feedback for us. And if you have a specific question that was not answered this evening and you would like some, response to it, please include it in that email when you reply back, and we'll do our best to take care of that. I want to thank all of you for joining us this evening, and thank you, President Lindsay, for being part of this event. I think it's great, and I think I do look forward to having more with everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces and names, so it is great to see everybody. We look forward for you joining us at future events, and just have a good night and take care. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciated you spending the time. Bye-bye.
Good night.